Passing it.
I call Dennis O'Rourke.
Chairman, every party in this House wants an effective and efficient Human Rights Commission. That much, I think, is common amongst us all. The only question then is, how do you achieve that? On this occasion, New Zealand First agrees with the government and doesn't agree with either the Greens or the Labour Party. And the reasons for that are fairly clear in my mind. Firstly, I listened to David Shearer's speech, and he said that it wasn't fixing anything. For reasons I'll give later, I think that it does. He questioned underlying motives which he didn't specify. He said there would be a weakening of rights which doesn't occur in this bill. He questions independence, which is not actually threatened at all. And he says that internationally, minimum standards, especially in relation to the Race Relations Commissioner, would be reduced, thus resulting in international reputational damage. Well, I don't see any of that occurring either. And the truth about the matter is, if you actually look at what the bill says, it says there must be a commissioner, other than the Chief Commissioner, appointed to lead the work in each of the priority areas which are actually specified. Disability rights, which the Greens are particularly interested in, and that's great. Equal employment opportunities, which I know the Labour Party is particularly interested in, that's great too. Race relations, which we are all very interested in. But the important thing here is the Chief Commissioner is also able to designate a commissioner to lead work in other priority areas. Right. And that is a leap forward as far as I'm concerned. We in New Zealand First, for example, think that there's a lot of work to do as far as the elderly are concerned and some of the rights that they are not being delivered in this country. And in fact, ageism is a really serious problem in New Zealand. And I hope that the Chief Commissioner will have a look at that. And of course, he will have to consult about those additional designations with the other commissioners and, yes, with the Minister. But I see no harm in consultation on that. So New Zealand First does not agree with the other parties about the perceived loss of specialised commissioners. And if you look at SOP 175, you will see straight away that actually the titles or designations are actually restored in that anyway. So the new approach will lead to commissioners being appointed to lead priority areas, but that still allows the flexibility that those commissioners can work in other areas as well. And I think that's very important. I think that's one of the things that is fixed in this legislation. I think it will make the Human Rights Commission more effective and more efficient. And surely we all want that. Now, that's the kind of comment that I hear from Mr Cunliffe, abolish it altogether. Can that member actually have read this bill if he's going to make an inane and idiotic statement like that? Can he actually have read the bill if he's going to make a stupid statement like that? Obviously not. Obviously not. Because what the bill actually says, is that the decisions made about what those lead areas are going to be has to be done in accordance with the strategy which all of the commissioners have to agree upon. And the Justice and Electoral Committee actually added the words in new section 8(1)(b), quote, in accordance with the strategic direction and the general nature of activities determined by the Commissioner under section 7(1). So it shows that what is going to guide the decision-making in this is a strategy, and I'm very glad to see that, because if it hadn't been in this bill, it is exactly what New Zealand First would have moved to achieve. So those new priority areas will have to be allocated in accordance with a strategic direction determined by the Commission as a whole. And that is, I think, one of the things that is being fixed in the bill. Now, we don't have the concern that some of the other parties have over the fact that the Minister is to be consulted. over the strategy and those priority areas. There is nothing wrong with consultation if that is all it is, consultation. And consultation is, Mr Chairman, consultation is completely appropriate with the Minister of Justice, as it would be with anyone else who has a direct interest. But consultation does not mean direction. Direction would be inappropriate, and direction, if it was attempted, I'm sure, with that commission would be rejected. So I don't see an issue with that either. And Mr Chairman, the issue I want to end on is simply this, that the bill does fix something else, and that it makes sure that the people appointed will be suitable people for the lead areas. And this is something I would like the Greens in particular to consider, because I know they're especially concerned about disability issues, and I have great respect for their expertise in that area. But they say that you have to have a commissioner whose only job is to do that. I don't think that's necessarily good for the Commission, and I think that as long as the suitable people are selected, then there isn't going to be a problem. So if you look at new section 13, you will see that the Minister has to have regard not just to their own personal opinion, but to some specified criteria. And the first is an understanding of the principles and practice relating to the relevant priority area. And secondly, an appreciation of the issues in the area internationally. And thirdly, an ability to carry out the functions specified in section 16, which itself has actually been amended to ensure skills and leadership ability and the ability to contribute to public debate. So if you look at all of those criteria together, I'm sure that this regime will result in a more effective and more efficient Human Rights Commission, where people will have specified roles, leadership to exercise, special expertise backing that up, and they will also, however, work together as a commission on everything. And I think that was one of the defects in the existing legislation, is that it didn't make that very clear. I think that this is a prescription for a much, much better Human Rights Commission, one which will work together in an integrated way, which will understand what each other is doing, and yet at the same time, it will mean that that leadership that is necessary in those priority areas will still be exercised. So I think that's a great balance. It's a big step forward. I do not for the life of me understand why either the Labour or the Greens party are opposing it, because it's good legislation. We don't hesitate to say so when that's true, and we will be voting for it.
Denise